this time, captains for both teams headed out to midfield for the coin toss. Our officials today are from the Evergreen Officials Association. Thank you guys for coming out. Looks like the center will receive the ball to start the football game. All right, at this time, please stand, remove your hats as we get ready for the playing of our national anthem.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Coach Gary Boggs Field here at Kiggins Bowl in Vancouver, Washington. We are excited to bring you today's matchup between the visitors, Le Center. My name is Owen Frazier. My broadcast partner is Brian Hansen. We've got Fort Vancouver High School and Le Center High School ready to kick off the 1A Trico League season, the season for Washington State football, and a lot of things to get into today. So many facets making this unlike anything that we've ever seen. We're going to talk about all of those. The first one is not Friday Night Lights. We're talking about Saturday afternoon football. And one of the big things that we're going to talk about that'll get right into it here is no special teams today. Both ADs, both coaches felt like, given all of the circumstances leading into this game, that no special teams would be in the best interest of the safety of all the athletes, which of course is everyone's biggest concern. So as we get started here, Le Center will start with the ball on the 30-yard line. Coach, talk a little bit about no special teams and how that's going to play into today's game.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're going to, be able to just do the things that they're used to doing. I haven't had a lot of time to work on things. So let's just get some offense and defense done.
And as we can expect, one of the things that we're going to talk about and that we'll see probably a lot today is there's going to be some mistakes that are going to be made. We're going to probably see a lot of procedural penalties. We're going to see, a lot of early season issues, but just amplified big time with the snow and COVID and all of this that's going into it. So it's kind of fitting to start the game off with a penalty right out of the gate.
Yeah, offsides by the defense. They're excited. These kids are excited to play. This is an opportunity to get off the ball a little bit too quick.
So that'll push the center back to 1st and 15 from their own 25. Both teams will start with no kickoffs with the ball on the 30-yard line. First play of the game is going to be Tommy Lambert with a keeper and a big first down on the first play from scrimmage.
Yeah, Fort kind of lost contain on that one right there. Got to set the edge on that.
Lambert is the reigning 1A Trico MVP, a senior, put on about 20 pounds of muscle coming into this season, went from a 6 foot, 190 pounds up to 6 foot, 210. He's someone that is pretty heavily recruited in the Pacific Northwest. A lot of Division III schools really interested in him, might play baseball and football. He's also got an FCS offer from Valparaiso, so definitely a big, strong, physical kid that is going to play football definitely at the next level. And there we see his versatility because he then comes out and throws a first down as well.
Yeah, a little throw to a little slot. A simple throw. They're doing simple things. I think we're going to see a lot of that today. Simple stuff.
Yeah, both coaches said before the game that they hadn't done a ton of scouting, hadn't done a ton of film watching on their opponents, that they'd spent every minute that they could focusing on themselves and just trying to do the things that they needed to be successful. Center takes a shot there deep. You kind of like that after the couple plays that they had, and then take a shot down the field.
Yeah, the center is typically a team that likes to run the ball right at you, but here they are taking a shot on the third play. Definitely gonna see some different things out of these two teams.
Yeah, to your point, when I talked to new head football coach Doug Bilodeau from Fort Vancouver, and I said, kind of what do you know about La Center? And he described their offense as 3 yards and a headache, which I thought was a really good way to describe the physical nature with which they play and they run the ball, and that's kind of what they're known for. But Lambert, being a good athlete, and they definitely want to use both of his skills, which is to be able to run physically but also throw the ball down the field.
Well, we just saw it right there. They just run physically off the left side. Get themselves 5 yards, get back up there, and 3rd and 5.
For La Center, they return only one offensive line starter. They've got a freshman, 6'3", 300-pound freshman, who just set their school bench press mark at 340 pounds. That's Ryan Kowalik. And so they definitely have some guys, but they're working in some new people up front. But when you think about La Center and you think about how Coach Lambert's been there for 22 years, these kids that are freshmen that are coming through, they're not just coming into football for the first time.
No,
they've been playing together for a long time. They've been watching La Center football for their whole lives, and I think they're as ready to play early as probably anybody.
This is an established program that goes all the way down to the lower levels, right? And so they've been doing this for a long time.
1st and 26. Lambert back to pass again. Just a whole lot of time. Floats a ball up there. Could have been picked off, but it's going to be completed.
It's not bad defense. They're in the right spot, but when the quarterback puts it in the receiver's hands, it's the only place they could have went, and makes an easy little catch there for 8 yards.
Yeah, Fort Vancouver's going to run a lot of 3-4 defense, which for them will allow them to kind of fill gaps and fill holes, and like you said, we kind of expect La Center to run a lot of their wing T, double wing concepts, and you think of them as being a physical smash mouth team, but on that play, they kind of kept him contained, at least, if nothing else. Ball batted down there at the line.
Gets his hands up, and I think you're right. Fort Vancouver wants to get them to do things that they don't want to do. Make them do something that they're not good at. Take away the 5 things they're good at and make them do the 6th thing. That's going to find some success. And we're seeing that. We're seeing a little bit of La Center throwing the ball around a little bit.
Yeah, they've certainly had to earn it so far. I mean, defensively, Ford has kept them in front of them, made the tackles that were there. But we've seen some pretty big holes like this one right here for La Center as they get down to the 5-yard line and a first down.
Yeah, just a little run off the left side. Uh, the Trappers need to keep filling those gaps, right? Just be gap controlled, be disciplined as a defense, right? And I know Coach Bilodeau is going to do that, right? That's what he's trying to bring is a disciplined offense and defense, right? Understand what their jobs are. Do your job. He's told me that a couple times when I talked to him. So.
Yeah, that is their team motto this year is do your job. And he said that goes for players and coaches and ball boys and ball girls and everybody affiliated with the program. If everybody does their job, you're going to have the best chance of being successful.
Yeah.
The center does have, again, with COVID and with, this interesting grading period and with the snow, it's made some things difficult. They have some players out today. One of them is their running back, Brighton Smits, who was a first-team All-League running back last year, is working through some stuff right now. And so Jeremy Humphrey is the running back, but, it's not a huge step back when you look at Humphrey, who's a senior. He's 5'10", 170 pounds, and we've seen him get loose a couple times already. Big, physical, strong runner, and has had some good runs so far.
Well, that's what they want to do. Get behind that big offensive line and move the ball. And, they're kind of doing it right now.
Lambert again, a lot of time, throws the ball up towards a pylon, incomplete.
Yeah, I think there was a little contact, but I think it was incidental. They kind of got tripped up on the feet, but the defense has the right to the ball too, and falls down and turns out to be a good play. A little pressure on the left side of the offense there from the Trappers.
Yeah, they made him throw that ball just a little bit earlier than he wanted to.
Did.
The receiver hadn't quite gotten out of his break yet, and I think that threw the timing off just a little bit. There's definitely some rules that are different in high school football in terms of what people might be used to seeing in college and the pro level in terms of uncatchable balls and things like that aren't necessarily the same type of rules at this level. A quick throw out there looks like it's going to be a touchdown. Kobe Namani, the wide receiver, senior, 6'1", 160. Those are the plays when you look at really successful teams at any level that they make that you would think any team could do, where it's like just a simple throw out there.
It's a simple bubble route, right? Get it to the guy. It's just like a run play, right? Get it to a playmaker, let him go. You're going to see that right here. He just throws it right out to him, makes one little move right there, gets a good block, breaks a tackle, and you're in the end zone.
I feel like you watch that with Alabama all the time, and you see them make a play, and you're like, how come my team can't do that?
Yeah.
What allows them to take that very simple play and take it for a touchdown when everybody else can't seem to do that? And that was a perfect example. Really nice job of blocking out on the outside, which I think is another staple of really good programs, receivers that block and be physical out on the outside, and that made it really easy to spring that for a touchdown.
Yep. Oh, and you're going to see the first rule change right here. We're not kicking extra points, so Le Center is going to go ahead and go for 2 here, kind of by design. So we're seeing a little differences today. Only a few days of practice, snow, 5 days of snow. That's kind of what you get. So.
Yeah, in coaching, talking to Coach Lambert before the game, he said that their kicker, they were really excited about their kicker this year. That someone that they felt like has the ability to make a lot of kicks and to come into this first game and not have a chance. Luckily, though, at the 1A level, your kicker is also a defensive back and a wide receiver, so he's not going to be completely shut out from getting on the field today.
Oh, and I was watching him when he was warming up, and he was consistently kicking from 40 yards.
Okay.
Really has a great leg. Gets the ball up in the air, gets into it. Clearly, he's got a future in kicking. But you're right, he's got to play the other positions probably too.
So here's a look at that 2-point play again.
Yeah, it's just give it to your guy and get outside, right? It's pretty simple.
It definitely looks like, attacking out on the edge, which is what every offense is, really trying to do right now with you seen with the development of spread offenses is spread you out, get your athletes on the outside and let them make plays. And that's exactly what they've done pretty much for that whole drive was they attacked
the outside,
both sides
and
both sides of the field and did it with receivers and running backs and even the quarterback.
Well, we'll see what kind of adjustments the Trappers can do once they get the ball back, but let's see what the offense can do for the Trappers here against the Le Center defense.
The Trappers are led by sophomore quarterback Caleb Svikovich. He played a little bit last year as a freshman, but is seeing his first, big-time environment first start. And much like LaCenter, we got a procedure penalty right out of the gate.
Right on the first play. Again, these kids, there's probably some new kids in there. They're excited again. It's the same thing we talked about before. And, LaCenter has an even front that they throw out there, right? And four defensive linemen, 3 linebackers. And, they kind of have this cover 2 look. And they want things to go to the inside. They don't want it to go to the outside. So let's see what the Trappers can do with this.
First and 15 now from the 25 for Fort Vancouver. Trips to one side.
Look like just a little inside run play. The problem is if the defense makes some progress upfield, gives some penetration, makes it really hard on an offense to get something done. So I think Coach Bilodeau and that offense need to get something on the outside, kind of like LaCenter was doing.
Yeah, that was Antonio Ronquillo, junior running back. He's a transfer from down in Fresno, California. He's been one of the bright spots early on, kind of a nice surprise for Fort. So, to have a skilled running back, linebacker kind of fall into your lap. It's kind of every coach kind of hopes, hey, every new year, like, hey, did we get some kid from somewhere that's going to help make us better? And was one of the kids that Coach Bilodeau really complimented.
Little fly sweep here. LaCenter sniffed that out. The end comes upfield and just closes that in. Make everything go back into the inside. That's what we talked about, just a minute ago. But credit to the Trappers, they're trying to get it outside. Try something different. Real tough position here. Third and 21. Maybe see the Trappers do some sort of a screen or something like that. Get it out on the edge, see what somebody can do.
So 3rd and 21 here, ball on the 19-yard line. Single back there with Zvikovic. Little play action.
It's right there. I liked what coach is trying to do there. He's put a snap count on. I think they went on probably 3 right there. Try to get 5 yards back, but then they snapped the ball. Got it open. Caleb kind of put it right on right in the general area of the receiver, but didn't quite catch it. So here again, we're probably in one of those rule changes, Owen, where we're going to see a punt that's going to move the ball 35 yards. And switch over to LaCenter's. It's just a little bit different today, isn't it?
Yeah, like we talked about in a lot of ways. So basically how this is going to work is a coach will just declare a punt. We declare punt. They're going to move the ball 35 yards and change possession. So it'll be LaCenter ball. And, we talked about it being a safety issue. I think safety issue being one. Most of the injuries that you see happen on special teams plays.
Right.
I mean, you got two teams running full speed, and just a lot of opportunities for injuries. So, given the fact that neither team has had a full slate of practices with the snow, and the ability to really hit, and then to be able to work on that, and let's be honest, in this COVID season. It's not a traditional season. It's not going to be what you've always seen. I've had some people, describe it as it's kind of like an intramurals this year, and yes, you want to compete, and yes, you want to win, and yes, you want to go play well, but this is the year to really be able to kind of focus on what's most important, and safety for kids is got to be at the top of that list.
Well, these kids haven't done anything for a year, and that's really tough. So safety has to be the number one thing that we're thinking about right now.
And that's a credit to both ADs and both head coaches to make sure that they're putting these kids in the best position to be safe.
Well, here comes LaCenter again, getting out to the outside, getting deep. I noticed the Trappers came out in a little bit of a cover 2 look there, but still kind of let that edge, get free. LaCenter's getting in a 2x2 formation. That's not really something they're known for so much. A little bit different than what they do, and we're seeing it again here.
this is what I love about, how football is changing at both the high school and the college level is every kid wants to play in a spread.
Yep.
Everybody wants to be a wide receiver.
It sounds good, doesn't it?
And it sounds good.
Yeah.
And that's the funny part about it is you watch what's being done and schematically,
Right.
it's all the same.
Right.
I was watching Urban Meyer talk about break down some plays and he was talking about, this spread concept that they were running. And Jerry DiNardo says, that's the wishbone.
Right.
He's like, that's a wishbone play. And Urban Meyer said, oh, don't tell kids that. We don't want them to know that. We want them to think that we're doing this new great thing. When in reality, the game has not changed.
No.
I mean, the concepts are the same.
We've just designed them a little bit differently. We put a guy in a different place, motion him around. It's the same stuff, just done a little bit different way.
And credit to Coach Lambert for adapting, right? I mean, he's been there for 22 years. He's had so much success in doing that, but realizes that some things are being done differently, and why put everybody in the box when you can get wide receivers out and spread everybody out. And if you miss a block out there, it's not as big of a deal if you miss it with a tight end when you're packed in. So I know that's kind of what Matheson's doing out at Mountain View.
Right.
They took that same type of an idea of, a traditional wing T type of a team, but now instead of tight ends, we're going to put them out wide and we're going to play in more space.
But you still run the same offense.
Exactly.
And we saw
thing.
we saw it right there on 4th and 2. Just a little quarterback ISO right up the middle. Everybody picks a man, find a gap, and it becomes easy. Right back to that 2x2 here. The center's been trying to throw the ball.
And I think these are the plays that are going to be really big for Fort to be able to stop, right? If you can't stop these really quick passes, and if you can't get off a block and make a tackle, it's going to be really, really hard to stop LaCenter because, they've taken some shots downfield and haven't connected yet. But if they can just throw that quick ball out for a first down every time that they want to, it's going to be really hard to stop this offense.
Oh, and that's just a little run play. Just throw it out to your guy, get him out in the field, and when you have a disciplined team and LaCenter's disciplined, they know what their jobs are. They're going to make a block. That's tough to stop right there. So we're going to see if we can get some adjustments going on. A little motion here.
See, that time they were able to get him to turn up, right?
They were.
And if he just is able to get that tackle, that's a stop. But he ends up just missing it. But that's at least looks like progress, right? It looks like they're starting to kind of have a better idea of what LaCenter's trying to do, and they're containing it better.
Well, you're talking about Coach Bildo and his defense out there. They're making some adjustments, right? And that's what you have to do is make adjustments. They decide they're going to set that edge, make sure they're going to run inside, not outside, and still a good play, but it's progress, right? And that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, we're just about to hit the 5-minute mark here in the first quarter. LaCenter driving on their second possession, just misconnecting there on a near touchdown, and the deep throws so far have been where Fort's been able to get stops. LaCenter's had a couple opportunities and open receivers downfield, but just haven't quite been able to get there. And so for Fort, that's kind of been their best. The best defense right now is just a little bit off. LaCenter trying to throw the ball deep down the field.
Well, they're trying to make sense. They're trying to get the ball downfield. They're trying to do something a little bit different, and this is going to help them later in the season for sure.
I think they probably take a shot here on 3rd and 1. I don't know that they run the ball for a first down. They might run some play action. Nope. Lambert's going to keep it.
They had that little action with that fly sweep, and it wasn't there. There's nobody on the edge, and it just becomes easy.
And that's what's become really dangerous in the spread football era, and when you've got a quarterback as dynamic as him, where it's like now you've got so many blockers, and you've got a kid that's big and physical and able, and you don't have to lead block. You don't have a fullback getting in the way.
Right.
You don't have anybody getting. You let him go. And Camus did that with Jack Coletto when they won the state title.
Jack Coletto was a nightmare because if you sit back there and play deep on him, make sure you can't throw it, then he's going to run it.
Yeah.
And if you take away the run, he's just going to dump something off. And something about those big athletes that are quarterbacks now, it's more of a thing than it used to be.
And you just don't mess around. You just hike it straight to them, and they go. And Coach Lambert was just talking about, if we feel like, because they rarely punt anyway. In this game, obviously, they're not going to punt, but they rarely punt. And he's, just talking about, we feel like if all we got to do is average 2.5 yards a play,
right?
And a kid that big, that physical, running
Yep.
that hard, it's like you got to think that he's going to get 2.5 yards a play, and you're going to get a first down every 4 plays.
We've run the quarterback a couple times. Bad snap there.
And I think that might be the thing that's going to make him like, even when something bad like that happens, he's able to turn that. Yeah, he's able to turn that into a touchdown pass.
And that was just a little jump pass. I'm sure he didn't want the play. That wasn't the play for sure. But go back, pick it up, and sees a guy in the end zone. And the Fort defenders, they were rallying to the ball. They think they're going to make a play, and LeCenter keeps playing on the back end. So it's a tough deal. We're going to see him go for 2 here again.
I would say run that play again, but I don't know that one was actually in the playbook. That was a low snap, but
yep. Look at this little jump pass he does right there. Just a little jump pass. And just hand the ball off. A little inside zone. Really tough from this, this particular situation.
Yeah, and for Fort Vancouver, I mean, we're talking about 2 programs in different places,
yes.
right? I mean, Fort Vancouver is with a new head coach in Doug Bilodeau. They're coming off a 1-8 season, playing independent, and you've got LeCenter, who's, their coach is in his 22nd year. They've been to 13 state playoffs in the last 20 years. So these are 2 programs in different places. But for Fort to kind of stay in this game and keep it competitive for as long as they can, those plays like that where the ball skips away, you kind of need to get some good fortune. You need that ball to kick away and be able to just jump on it and get a turnover, because as we've seen, if LeCenter is going to be able to just run play after play after play, it's going to be really tough to get a 4-down stop.
Well, this is good for Fort Vancouver. They're trying to get better. I know Coach Doug needs to get better, and he needs to see things on film. And they're going to look at that film, and somebody's going to get better. They'll get in the room, they'll make some adjustments, and that's what's good about going against some of these good teams like LeCenter, an established program, is you get better watching film.
Yeah, Coach Bilodeau described this as a long spring football.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how they're approaching it. And then you're going to turn around and you're going to jump into spring football, and then you're going to have the summer to get ready for next fall, and it's all going to happen quickly.
Very quick.
And so you're going to be able to build and build and build and build.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for him being a new coach, and you can obviously relate to this being the new head baseball coach at Fort Vancouver, how difficult it's been to transition in this time with all of the difficulties that COVID's made to try and get work in with your players, to get to meet your players, to get to talk to your players. And so for all that, on top of a normal transition, makes it even more difficult.
You know what I like about this is when you watch this back, you're going to see the entire defense, the entire offense ends up, getting on a pile. Everybody wants to play. It's a good run, little cutback, breaks a tackle, 10 yards. Fort should feel good about this, right? Now how are we going to build on it, right? Because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to build something, right? And you have to start somewhere, right? LeCenter's going to look at that one and say there's a few things we could have done better, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in asking Coach Bilodeau, the other night when we were having a conversation, I said, what is success for you in this game? Like, how are you going to define success? And he said, we're not going to define success based on the scoreboard. We're going to look at things like, are we going 3 and out, or are we getting first downs? Are we moving? We might not get a touchdown out of a drive, but if we, get some runs like this and get some first downs and we end up not scoring, he's like, those are some of the ways that we're going to be measuring success. And so far, those 2 run plays right there are the types of things that he's talking about.
If it's working, keep doing it, right? I'm sure LeCenter's going to make a change, but until they do, run it again, and keep working. That's positive.
And obviously, I mean, at any level, and every coach will tell you, staying ahead of the chains is such an important part of it. And getting this to 2nd and 4s and 3rd and 2s, that's how you sustain drives. And for them to have a first down, come back, run it, now be at 2nd and 4, that's their chance to be able to move the ball down the field. There's another inside run.
Yep. They tried the other side that time. That side didn't work so much. But credit them. If something's working, let's stay with it, right? you know, there was a little bit of an adjustment. A couple substitutions, guys learning, right? And the center's going through that too. They got guys in different positions, haven't played in a long time. Heck, the freshmen have never played. You know, the last year they haven't done anything. So we're back in a tough spot though. Third and 6.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him go back to the little RPO action they ran earlier, because that slant was definitely open. And
we're seeing some man coverage here, so definitely they're bringing a bunch of people. Great catch.
Really good play.
You know, it's exactly what you talked about, though. They see that pressure. We had man coverage, right? Everybody's up. We know exactly what's going to happen, and you know, the Fort Vancouver just throws it up, says, "Hey, go get that ball, right? Go be an athlete."
Yeah, well, and you see that so much right now where guys are just, you know, making back shoulder throws and putting balls up there. And Evan Mendez is a kid that just made that reception that Coach Bilodeau had a lot of praise for. He's a sophomore wide receiver, but him and Svitkovich were working out all offseason. They're both sophomores. They're good friends. And so when coaches couldn't be around, they were out running routes and making throws. And those are the kinds of times where you see that pay off, right? I mean, where you've got that chemistry between quarterback and wide receiver, and those are the things that he's going to go back to when they're watching film and say, look, guys, we're trying to build this program. Here's two guys who did exactly what we wanted, and there it is paying off for them on the field.
Right. Well, we've got, you know, we see the Trappers with a little bit of momentum, right? And they started that momentum running the ball and went right back after it again. But Lesender's kind of bringing some more pressure, right? So, you know, at this point, I think the Trappers are going to want to try to get the ball out of the box here a little bit. See what they do. There it is. And we've got a flag on the play here, but I like what they're trying to do, right? And the center is getting they're giving you an opportunity to make a throw, and it didn't quite work out really good, but I like what they're doing. There's some good play calling going on.
Well, and this is kind of where you see a little bit of the difference in a 6 foot, 210-pound senior and a whatever Svitkovich is listed at. And the strength of how quickly that ball gets out there,
right.
You know, where you feel like Lambert catches that ball and fires it out there, and the receiver has a little bit more time to make a play, whereas Svik, he's just not that big, strong, physical kid yet. Hopefully, I'm sure he would love to be that when he gets to be a senior, but you can see how that plays into that play and the timing of it and making it a little easier to stop when that ball just doesn't get out there with the same kind of zip.
Right. You know, interesting call here. We had a holding, but because the Trappers lost yardage on that, Lesender declined it, puts them in 3rd and 13. You know, now, hey, you got to take a shot here, right? You can't be conservative here. You're trying to get better. You know, like you said, Coach, I think looking at the little slant here, and they are lined up in the same formation. See if they can get somebody on the ball.
And you've got, you know, just no safety help over the top here on our side of the field, and they're going to run it inside to Lufau.
Yep.
And I'll be honest, last year on 3rd and long, Nico with the ball in his hands was still their best play.
Right.
Regardless of what the down and distance was, he's their best player.
Right.
He's the kid that when I talked to Coach Lambert before the game, I said, you know, what do you know about Fort? And he was honest. He said, you know, we focused on ourselves. We haven't watched a lot of film. He goes, but boy, number 5.
Right.
He said, boy, number 5 is a player. And he had some really big games last year, and I've watched a lot of their practices. And when they run a play, even just, you know, Skelly 11-on-0, and he has the ball in his hands, and it's a different looking play.
Right.
Because he is big and fast and strong, and he's a kid that some of these freshmen that are starting for La Center are gonna look at and go, oh boy, I don't want to have to tackle that kid.
A little fumble on that. You know, we saw a little play action. La Center was in some man coverage, and I think Coach Bilodeau is thinking maybe he can throw it up and make another play right there. Just, you know, had a little mix-up on that mesh.
Yeah, we'll get another look at it right here.
Just kind of got into it there. but he had what he wanted. He was going to roll out to the right and give himself an opportunity to run or pass.
And at the end of the day, I mean, that play is going to lose him 7 yards, but it's a turnover on downs either way. And
I like that they went for it.
Yeah.
I like that in this situation.
They could have taken the 35 yards and put them down at the 10 or whatever, but they're trying to work on their stuff, and they might need a 4th and 16 from the 40-yard line 3 weeks from now and be able to kind of use what they're doing now to help them to be ready to make that play later. It's another deep shot down the field. That time they're going to connect for a touchdown.
They sure did. They came out in 11 personnel, put 3 guys on the right side, and just kind of threw it out there, right? He kind of got one-on-one coverage, bigger receiver on a smaller defensive back. You kind of feel good about that, and, they connect. And they've been trying to connect that. What's that, the 4th or 5th time they've tried to hit that play? And, they got it done that time.
Yeah, Ford's been fortunate the first few times the players were open and the ball was either a little overthrown or out of bounds, and you as I feel like it's gotten closer and closer. Like the first throw was further off, and then it's been closer and closer and closer, and then that time the ball was really well thrown. Nemani was wide open, and that's going to be another touchdown for Le Center. So just about 7 seconds left here in the first quarter. Le Center now leads 22-0. They're going to go for 2 here again by rule of no special teams, no kicks. And there's a good stop. They run it right in the inside, and Fort's ready for it.
They did. Everybody filled their gaps. We're gonna see the defensive lineman get just a little bit of penetration, right? And heck, that's when you find success.
And it looked like Eamon Reed was in there with the tackle. Eamon Reed, Tony Bearden were 2 guys that Coach Bilodeau also had some pretty high praise for. Both of those guys were actually fullbacks, running backs last year, and would probably like to be running backs this year. But Coach Bilodeau went to both guys and said, "Look, we're thin on the offensive line. We need you." He said the funny story. He said he took them both out to lunch and said, "Hey guys." Sat him down for lunch and said, "Hey guys, I need you to play offensive line." And he said, Tony Bearden looked up and said, "Coach, you didn't have to take us out to lunch to do that. We would have said yes either way." And I think that says a lot about those 2 guys and how they responded to being asked that they're willing to do whatever it takes, to help this team progress. And there was Reed there making a play.
The best part of this play, they make a good play, but the trapper quarterback, right? Caleb gets out there, and he's the first one out there congratulating the defense for making a great play. He's not out there, but he's having fun and congratulating those guys on a 2-point stop. Like, that's good stuff, right? It shows that Bilodeau's doing some good things right now.
Yeah, and as he continues to develop as a leader, those are the kinds of things that says a lot about Caleb and what he's trying to do and the strides that he's trying to make. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because I think that's so huge. Because now he's back out there with those same guys, right? It's like those are the same guys now that are out there blocking for him.
Yeah, it's the second time they've tried that play, and they're just getting a lot of penetration, those defensive ends. And but we're going to see something where he pulls that, maybe runs up the middle. So they're definitely trying to set something up with that.
Yeah, so that's going to do it for the first quarter. Le Center leads 22. Fort Vancouver was 0. Yeah, there's that fly sweep again, like you mentioned. And like you said, though, it's you still got to show it, right? You still if it's a part of your offense, you're still going to have to show it. So even if it's not being successful right now, it might set them up for something later on in the game.
Here's what's really great about about what we're doing right now. We're out here in February. There's snow on the ground, and we're out here. The cheerleaders are out here. These kids are getting a chance to play, and mom and dad's at home watching their kid compete. Right? As long as we're competing, that's never a bad thing.
Yeah, all you parents at home that don't get a chance to watch your kid live, we feel for you. We're going to do our best for you today. Hopefully we get all your kids' pronunciations right and make this something that you feel good about, because we definitely are happy to be able to be here and bring this to you. All right, so we've got an announcement Vancouver Public Schools is hiring a new superintendent and has narrowed the candidates down to 4. The school board wants your input on the candidates. You have until February 23rd to make your voice heard. Head to the district website, vansd.org, where you can meet the candidates, watch a video of their first interviews, and submit comments. All right, we're about to get ready here for the start of the second quarter. Fort Vancouver's got the ball, 2nd and 15 on the 25-yard line.
You know, I expect the Trappers to continue doing what they're doing, right? And keep working on it, right? This is an opportunity, right? You got to look past the score, keep taking opportunities, and so does the center. They're still working on things as well.
Claxton, they're going to get out to Lufau. And he's just so physical. He runs so hard, and he is not going to shy away from a hit. He's going to try and give that punishment as much as he's ever going to take any. And I think that's, like we've talked about, that's a really good way to get him involved in that offense. Mm-hmm. It's technically a pass, but it's really more like a run.
Right.
It gives him an opportunity to kind of get going and get on the outside. And once again, you got to credit the center. Just a nice job of getting off blocks and coming out and making a tackle. And it was 3 guys.
Right.
It wasn't one guy out there trying to tackle him. It was 3 guys that were able to bring him down.
Well, here's what that effort does. That effort gets him up there. He's fighting. LeCenters comes in, and they're going to get a personal foul, right? Using the, and that's because of the effort, right? And on both teams. But that gets LeCenter it's something they got to work on, right? But it's for the Trappers, it's a first down on effort, right? We want to see more of that from the Trappers. We want them to, think that this is possible, and it starts like what you said, right? You get the ball in your playmaker's hands, right? And all of a sudden now you got a first down.
Yeah, if Nico just kind of goes down on that play and doesn't fight for extra yards, right, that personal foul doesn't happen in that first down. So now it's 1st and 10 from the 40 for Fort Vancouver. Going back inside, and once again, the center does a really nice job of plugging up that inside run.
They really do. The Trappers they have an RPO offense, right? There's quarterback has an opportunity to hand the ball off or look for the pass. We haven't seen the pass, maybe just that one time, and it was there. I expect them to look for that a little bit more. I mean, it's got to be there. They keep running it. Let's see that backside receiver on the slant, see if they can get him the ball.
Some of the little things, though, that have stood out so far, Fort Vancouver they had issues with one of the handoffs, but they haven't had any issues with snaps so far, which, again, you would have expected. They have had, maybe 1 penalty so far in the first quarter. So considering all that, there's a lot to like about what they've been able to do so far. Yeah, it looked like he tried to reach out for an extra yard.
You know what? You like the effort, and he puts the ball out there, but the center's on it. You're going to see as he reaches for it, a LeCenter defender punches that ball right out of his hands right before he's down, and we've got a turnover right here.
And we don't have official replay, obviously, in high school football. We'll probably get another look at that to see if he was potentially down. Those are some of the calls at this level that are just so hard to make at full speed and being able to know whether or not a guy was down, because I thought it was really, really close.
It's not easy to be a referee. You're never right. You're always wrong. And sometimes you just gotta you go with what it looks like. And these guys work really hard, long hours, trying to do the right thing, but football coaches tend to never think they're right. So
and you've got to also note the fact that they're on a 360 or 450 day layoff as well. You'll
see this is good effort. He reaches out right there, and the corner punches the ball out, rips it out, and LeCenter comes up with it. You like the effort.
And if it's 1 yard from a first down, it might be a little different than
right.
Reaching for an extra yard on when you still got 5 yards to go. But again, you can't fault the effort.
No. So we've seen Le Center come out pretty exclusively in a 2-by-2 formation here, and they're going to do it again. 2 receivers on each side, and they're spreading out, and they've been taking shots to the outside. They haven't really tried the middle too much here. Oh, missed tackle there.
And those are the kinds of plays for Fort Vancouver where you're so close, right? You are so close to having that be a stop for a loss or for just a short gain, and you miss a tackle or you miss an assignment and it's gone for a touchdown, and it's that close. But those are the kinds of plays that are going to be the difference between, keeping this game competitive and having the scorer, maybe get out of hand early.
Well, let's credit Le Center because that was well executed. I saw 2 blocks that made that happen, and it's 2 programs in 2 different places, right? And one's trying to learn how to do those things, one's executing those things really well.
And you saw those blocks coming further down the field where none of those guys were giving up on the play. They continue to follow the play. And so it's now Le Center 28, Fort Vancouver 0. Le Center going for 2. And Fort was able to stop
They
him.
sure were. You set that edge, you make the guy go inside where he doesn't want to go, let the linebackers make the play.
That was Irving Alvarez from Le Center getting stopped there short. I've been around baseball in Southwest Washington for the last few years. Irving's a kid that's a really good baseball player. And one of the cool elements about the small town is a lot of these kids are multi-sport athletes, and a lot of these coaches are multi-sport coaches, right? So you've got the head baseball coach at Le Center, Rick Skinner, is also the defensive coordinator on the football team, and that makes such a good dynamic for building a strong athletic program when you've got coaches coaching multiple sports, you've got kids playing multiple sports, and that momentum of being successful just carries over into everything
relationships,
that you're doing.
isn't it? It's relationships, and kids they have to learn to trust you, but once they trust you, they'll do whatever you want them to do, and that comes from being those coaching multiple sports, something I certainly believe in.
All right, Fort Vancouver back with the ball here on the 30-yard line, 1st and 10. Once again, not a lot of running room.
No, there sure not.
That's Antonio Ronquillo again. Just trying to find something. It just looks like it plays just maybe a little slow. And I mean, to his credit, I feel like he's looking for a hole and he's not really seeing much, which makes it difficult. But once, like, we're looking at the replay right now, he thinks he's got something outside. He's able to get up, but then there's another guy, and there's another guy, and every time you see Le Center make a tackle defensively, it's always 4 guys to the ball.
Right. Well, this might be another one of those times we're going to try to get the ball to one of their playmakers on the outside. Le Center's, they're playing back a little bit. There's an opportunity here. We got a stoppage in the play here. A little conversation between the referee and.
Yeah, what possibly could they be talking about?
It might be an equipment issue.
I was going to say it might be an equipment.
Yeah, something they saw there, needed to get somebody else in.
All right, 2nd and 15 now for Fort Vancouver, ball on their 25-yard line. We got just over 9 minutes left here in the half. Fort Vancouver trying to get something going.
Oh, and that's that play that we had talked about, right? And you could see where it was. They were thinking about the last play. Le Center gets to see what's going out there, and they made a little bit of an adjustment on that put a linebacker out there in the flats and get a deflection.
Yeah, here's another look at it here on the replay.
That's that RPO offense, right? He has a chance to run it or pass it on every play.
And you've got to think after
It's the same play again.
You've got to think after a few times of the ball, of the running back continuing to get stuffed in the middle, that you almost, it's just natural, right? That you're gonna remember that, and you might not even make the read because you're just gonna assume that throwing it outside is the right way to go. And honestly, in both of those plays, Svikvich threw a good ball.
Yeah.
Lecenter was just once again right in the right place to be able to knock the ball down.
Well, they're building on something. And we're gonna see a punt here, one of our special rules, and Lecenter's gonna get the ball back. I expect them, to come out and keep doing the same thing that they're doing right now. Let's see if the Trappers can make some sort of an adjustment.
So yeah, the 35-yard punt will take the ball to the 40-yard line. Center will have 1st and 10. Fort Vancouver kind of getting together. Neither team has taken a timeout yet.
Nope.
And again, you would think with everything going on.
Hasn't this been pretty good play so far?
Yeah, absolutely. It has been smooth so far. Not a lot of penalties, no timeouts, no coaches yelling for the 11th guy to get out on the field.
Nope.
And I think if you would have told both coaches that close to this far into the first half that the game would be played as smooth as it is, I think both of them would have been excited about that.
So a little.
Oh, and then just like that,
talked
of course.
about it. Little confusion on the defense. Looking around, the offense tried to take advantage of that, and now we're going to go back. Actually, the confusion by the Trappers sped up the offense a little bit, and we had a false start.
Yeah, right on cue, of course.
Yep.
Fort Vancouver's got 10 men on the field and runs out the 11th. That'll put Lecenter 1st and 15. Clock still running. Lambert's going to go back to pass. Once again, a lot of time and an open receiver, and he drops it.
The Trappers brought 3 there. They had everybody back, but Lecenter's athletes just a little bit different, right? A little bit faster, a little bit bigger, and but we've seen that theme, and Lecenter wants to work on that, right? Because that's a play that needs to happen. Get behind the defense and make a play. You just can't drop the ball right there.
And that's, obviously with how much success that Lecenter's had throwing the bubble early on in the game, those corners are creeping up and they're trying to make sure they can get up to make that play, and then before you know it, there goes the receiver running past you. Lambert off his back foot a little bit there, but the receiver is wide open. Breaks off a tackle, and that's going to be a 1st down on a big gain. Lambert throws a good ball for a kid who's being recruited mostly as a linebacker. Maybe talking to Coach Lambert, he said, a lot of the smaller Division IIIs are looking at him as a defensive end. It was just talking about how everybody right now is basically recruiting a kid at their position and then sliding them down. So recruiting linebackers and making them defensive ends, recruiting defensive ends and making them defensive tackles, recruiting safeties and making them linebackers. And so he's a kid at 6 foot 210 that is maybe an inside linebacker, but also potentially could get up to 230 and be
kind of a Coletto kind of a guy, isn't he?
Exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm. It's interesting. He got to sit back there, had all kinds of time. There was probably a reason for it, because but Levi Giles gets all the way across the field, makes a great play, and we talk about effort. The kid didn't want to go down, ends up making a great play, but it's going to come back. The Trappers need to get a stop right here. This is an opportunity to build some momentum here.
So it's going to be 2nd and 36, all the way back at their own 14 for Lecenter. And even in this situation, they got to feel good about every play in their playbook.
They do,
right? Because everything so far has been able to get chunks of yardage. They don't necessarily need to throw it deep. They've certainly shown they can, but they don't have to. They can get 18, 20, 30 yards on just about any play that they've run so far. They try to go deep, and it was close, but just missed him, and it's going to be now 3rd and 36.
Well, just like you said there, your receivers getting behind the defensive backs just a little bit faster. They'll see this on film. Those defensive backs need to get back into their drops a little bit quicker and be able to stop that.
But definitely the best coverage I think we've seen downfield.
It's getting better, and there's, like I said, there's some adjustments that are going on, and they're talking about things. I'd expect the same thing again. They're getting opportunities. I expect them to do the same thing.
All right, once again, one running back, 2 wide receivers to each side. And they got another opening.
But you know what? That was a great tackle right there. He kind of got loose on the backside, but he could have given up on that. But we're going to have 4th and 2 from this play.
That was Aaron Kumar, who you talked about, that was able to bounce back to make that tackle and stop him short. Coach Bilodeau was very complimentary of Kumar. Said he's obviously not a kid that's big in stature. He's probably 5'5", 5'6", but he said that he is absolutely not afraid of anything and plays with no fear. And hey, there's no better compliment that you can give a kid than, especially in this game,
right?
That you're not scared of contact.
Well, you talk about how hard you work. You look at Levi Giles. This is the second time I've seen him run all the way across the field and make a good play. Right? They're either doing that or throwing it deep. And I think I haven't seen the Trappers bring a lot of pressure, but this would be an opportunity where you got to bring something right here. You can't just sit back. You got to get creative, and because I expect the center to run the ball either with their quarterback or something right up the middle, and say, this is what they like. This is center football right here. 4th and 2 on the 48, and so let's see if the Trappers bring something right here.
Yeah, you're right.
Here they come. You can see him kind of sneaking up there.
Yeah, that's not going to be a surprise to anybody.
No.
And I think that's a play that LeCenter's going to be counting on for 4th and 2 for this entire season.
Yep. Yeah, it's a situation they want to be in. 3 yards and a headache, right? They're very comfortable in that situation.
And you've got to give a lot of credit to the LeCenter offensive line so far. We talked about how they're working in 4 new starters. They've done a really good job both in run blocking and in pass protection of making things really easy on Lambert. One of the guys that Coach Lambert really wanted to shout out was Braden Wrigley. Wrigley's a 5'7", 220-pound senior on the offensive line. Ooh, so we see a good play right there. But Wrigley's one of those guys that, Coach Lambert said, at a bigger school, he's not a kid that, might have the chance to be a starting offensive lineman. But here in LeCenter, he's a kid that's worked his way in. He said he's a real, underdog story, someone that he feels, really proud of the progress that he's made in his 4 years. And those are the kinds of kids that LeCenter wins football games with.
Right.
5'7", 220-pound offensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
But seniors that have been around, that have been in the program and are excited for their opportunity. Lambert again, a lot of time. Looked like a little miscommunication on the route right there. Look at the
you can see the receiver's got his hands up going, was that you or was that me?
And now he's saying, dang it, that
was me. But that's what a good football team does, is they look at the things that they do. And you'll see right here. He thinks he's got, and it's like, wait a minute, is that me? Yep, it sure was. And that's okay. That's an opportunity to get better as a football team.
3rd and 1, and nobody out there. A lot of running room. He's going to get the edge. Stays in bounds. Nope. He's going to step out of bounds at about the 8-yard line.
They've had success with just a little bubble route. Throw it out to our playmaker. And you'll see it right here. There's just really nobody out there right now. And not only is there nobody out there, there's somebody to block. So definitely a mix-up on defense right there. And, again, just an opportunity to get better.
And that's what the spread allows you to do, right? It just gives you time, especially with a lot of people playing tempo and hurry up, is you get an opportunity to kind of get up there early, see where your matchups are, see what you like, and then go find that spot. And there's going to be another touchdown for Le Center.
Well, we saw it there again. You know, they get their quarterback out on the edge, give him a lot of options. He could have run that. He could have thrown it. You know, it's just that's what the spread does for you. It gives you too many options, hard to deal with, and especially when you're a disciplined team like Le Center is. The Trappers are having a tough time with that.
Yeah, so Lambert looks and doesn't like what he sees, but then you see him improvise, and again, it's just what is going to make him so dangerous is the ability to make something out of nothing like that. And even for Fort, you feel like you had to stop, and you feel like you were able to get people in the right place, and then all of a sudden schoolyard football breaks out, and you got to go cover now, and Le Center made them pay. That's the first time that Le Center's been able to get the two-point play running up the middle like that. Fort Vancouver had done a good job of stopping them. But that two-point conversion is going to put it up to Le Center 36, Fort Vancouver 0. The thing that I will say about, Fort so far is there hasn't been, there's been the one long pass play for a touchdown, but for the most part, Le Center's had to put together a drive. You know, it's not like they can just hand the ball off and run it for a touchdown. They've had to sustain drives with multiple plays, and I think those are the small victories that Fort's going to look at and say, look, we didn't make it easy. They certainly had to earn it, and it's not like Le Center's running just some nobodies out there and scoring on them. I mean, they got some good athletes and some good football players, and they're executing plays and they're having success. They're running out there. Andrew Kesar getting the ball, Levi Giles getting the ball. They're spreading it around, right? And they're using athletes in different ways. And I keep getting back to it. It's throwing the ball down the field is not what Le Center wants to do, but they are getting better doing it. And this is going to benefit them later on in the year when they have to do that. And they probably will as they get further into the league. Yeah, I'm interested to see what Fort tries on this drive. We've seen them, with the fly sweep and some of the RPOs and the inside runs, and they've had, a few plays that have gone for some decent yardage, but certainly nothing that I feel like they can hang their hat on right now and go, hey, we know if we call this, we're going to have some success.
I just kind of saw something that was going on there. They've been getting this little run to the left and run to the left and run to the left. Well, that single receiver side, they haven't really tested that. And it sure looked like that might have been an opportunity right there to take advantage of that.
Yeah, once again, Fort Vancouver just not able to get going, and a nice play there defensively to rip that ball out.
And guess who's there to help pick him up? The quarterback.
Ronquillo a little slow to get up right there. Let's see if we can see anything here on the replay. Yeah, before he even has a chance to get going. I don't know if the defender just fell onto his legs, but he rolled over quite quickly and was holding onto his knee. So hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, they're looking at his left knee, lower leg area. I start thinking about, what do you do if you're Fort Vancouver right now? You're down 36 points. There's 6 minutes left in the second quarter, and my response is keep working on getting better. Keep doing what you're doing, and try to make those small adjustments to get better at what you want to do. And we've seen that, haven't we? They keep working on that inside zone. They're working on that RPO, little slant. They're trying to get better, and it's going to take some time. And that's what Coach Bilodeau is telling everybody it's a process, isn't it?
Yeah, and when you look at what Le Center's doing offensively, it's not like they've got multiple formations, and they've run 3 or 4 plays, but they've had success in their 3 or 4 plays, and Fort Vancouver has not has run about the same amount of plays, but their plays aren't having success. So it's interesting when you watch it and you you say, well, what's one team doing and the other? And it's like, one's executing the plays better, but it's not
Right.
like LeCenter's doing some trick that's making it really hard. It's just they're just better at executing the very simple plays. But I do like this play right here, just taking a shot. You got, like you said, one-on-one coverage.
Yep.
There's no safety over there.
Yep.
And they're able to get that. And that was the other big play that they had, was just taking a shot down the field.
Well, you could tell they were thinking about it, right? And it sure looked like they were going to come back to that. He's felt like he's been open a few times. Ball a little bit underthrown, but trying to get back to the ball. That's when you get hands in your face. You got 2 flags in the play, and you got yourself a first down. All part of the offense. They're not doing anything different, right? These are all options that we have in the RPO offense, and they took advantage of one.
So Fort Vancouver's now going to be 1st and 10 on the 49. Once again, LeCenter, very few guys back deep. Most of the defensive players on the line of scrimmage.
Yep. Well, they had man coverage right there. I mean, that's an opportunity on first down, man coverage in the middle of the field. You want to take a shot right there, and LeCenter is giving you that man coverage probably as much to get better themselves to deal with that situation. But these are opportunities to take a shot. And here we're seeing the same thing again. This is an opportunity. It's going to be hard to run the ball right here.
1st and 5. Sviduc is going to get sacked back about a 5-yard loss. It'll put him at about 2nd and 10.
Caleb, he got a lot of pressure. He saw but he didn't just throw it up. It wasn't right. It wasn't there right away. Pulls it down, tries to make something happen. That's growth as a quarterback. You're going to see right here. He's like, oh, nope, it's not there, right? And instead of throwing a pick or throwing something away, he makes the right decision right there. Credit LeCenter's defense for getting some pressure on him.
So 2nd and 9 now for Fort Ball on the 50.
Again, it's going to be hard to run the ball right here. And he makes a great,
really well run route.
Really good situation, right? You got man coverage in the middle of the field. Sviduc makes the right choice, right? Throws it up to guess who? Number 14, Mendez, right? And Mendez gets loose, makes another play, right? They've got some momentum. Let's see if LeCenter makes an adjustment here.
Yeah, and I think those are the best plays to put Savikovic in right now, where it's like it's a one-read play. He catches the ball and he turns and he throws it. And Mendez has definitely been his guy. He's caught in the 2 deep passes and had the deep pass interference so far. So those guys clearly, like we mentioned, working well together.
Right. So we saw an adjustment. We saw an adjustment by LeCenter, right? They changed up the defense a little bit, and Savikovic decides to take another shot and almost makes it happen, right? Still has one-on-one coverage, gives his guy a chance. This is a real opportunity for the Trappers to find some growth and some success getting into the second half.
Yeah, we're looking at the replay right here. Like you said, same type of play, just a 2-step and throw it up there. And I think Mendez was open, and I think it was just a little bit underthrown that allowed the DB to get back there to make a play on the ball. But like you said, I think it's the right kind of play calls and taking the shots. And now that they're still at 2nd and 10, ball in the 24 with a chance to get the ball in the end zone.
I love that play right there. You went deep twice. The guy's worried about getting beat. What do you run? You run a little slant with the same guy. Puts the ball on him. They got something going on here. First and goal right here on the 10.
And the center's linebacker was just a tad slow getting over there. Once again, we got the replay. Savikovic throws that ball in there tight. That was not it was
a confident throw, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a confident throw.
And now you're at the point now, even though you're kind of short, short field, but a lot of different options now that you can do, because you've shown the ability to throw the ball downfield. You've shown the intermediate passing game, and now maybe that opens up Lufau or something in the running game.
Well, it was going to be tough right there. You saw you had man coverage, right? Quarterback should be able to look left, right, and see, hey, I got man coverage right here. That means they're bringing everybody else. And if they're bringing everybody else, that run's probably not going to work. But sometimes you got to give them, you got to run the ball and make sure that they're going to respect it. But I'd expect to see the same defense. And the Trappers probably need to take advantage of one of those one-on-one matchups and get a ball that they can get.
Yeah, just, again, nothing there for Lufau on that play. And I'm sure he's frustrated, but you haven't seen them react. And,
No.
you know, we just keep saying these same types of things over and over again, but in talking to Bilodeau before the game, body language is important. How are you going to respond to adversity?
Right.
We haven't seen guys chipping at each other. We haven't seen, you know, block better or this or that. Everything's been positive, and that's why they've been able to just kind of keep moving.
Right.
And there's another completed pass.
You know, and what's interesting about this throw is that, you know, yeah, we're throwing it in the middle, but it's a real simple play, man coverage, you know, little jab step going, and it's an easy play, and that sets something else up. So I expect them to get out to the outside, some sort of ball to the corner again, and give their guys a chance to make the play.
So it's going to be 3rd down and goal now from the 9-yard line for Fort Vancouver. Plenty of time, right? Definitely don't need to be in a hurry.
No.
You still got over 2 minutes to go. You're obviously not going to kick a field goal, so
Right.
that's got to play into your play calling at this time too.
They've got 2 shots, and there's that edge that we talked about.
Yeah, that's going to be a blindside block. It's
It
going to
sure
take
is.
the ball back.
But ultimately, Le Center learned from their mistakes a little bit and decided they're going to get back there. But they had to take little bit bigger receiver, right? This is still going to be Le Center's ball right here, but it'll probably be backed up to the 5-yard line or so, something like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I mean, you've obviously had some success going that way, and Tyler Normine is the DB out there. He's only a freshman, and like you said, he's gotten beat on a couple plays, but that time, you know, that ball gets thrown up, and Normine's 5'11". They list him at 5'11", 165, and he was, you know, he's got 3 inches on the receiver right there. So you try and throw that ball up with the thought of, you know, giving your receiver a chance to make a play, but the DB is actually a bigger kid and gets in good position with his body to be able to take that ball away.
Well, you know, I still, you know, I keep thinking about, you know, what Le Center's doing, right? They showed a lot of man coverage right there, and maybe in typically places that you wouldn't see a lot of man coverage, and it's giving them an opportunity to get better. And I think both coaches are looking at this as an opportunity to put some stuff on film, see what they're good at, because they just don't know because they've had 3, 4, 5 days of practice.
Right. Yeah, Le Center's been practicing in their gym the last few days because not only did they have the snow, but then the snow didn't melt, and then when it did melt, it made just a field so sloppy.
I think there was a little mix-up on the route. I don't know that the receiver actually even saw the ball.
Yeah. I thought maybe he lost it in the sun
Yeah.
or something because the ball was put on him pretty close, and,
Yeah.
and then he looked up and had no idea where the ball was.
I don't even think he knew it was thrown to him.
Yeah, here's the replay right here. Lambert, I mean, he's going to him the whole way.
Yeah.
And so he's looking up, and I just thought maybe he looked up and lost it in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is obviously a big possession for Fort Vancouver right here. If they can get a stop and get some momentum going into halftime, they do get the ball coming out in half. But if you can keep Le Center from scoring here, that would be huge.
Well, with 1 minute and 50 seconds, you know, Le Center's coming out throwing the ball. That's what they should do, right? And they're trying to take some shots, and they've had some success, you know, doing that. Looks like number 47 is David White. Maybe has some sort of an injury or something coming off the field there. Maybe an ankle or something like that.
Yeah, and you're talking about getting better and you know, putting yourselves in situations for later on. This is 2-minute drill time, right?
It is.
I mean, it's 36-0 on the scoreboard right now, but in 3 weeks it might be 7-7, and you're trying to go down to score to win a game. And so
Right.
these are the situations. Even, you know, you throw the scoreboard out, and you're trying in game one to.
Both coaches are playing like it's 0-0, and they're,
Absolutely.
you know, trying to figure out what they're good at.
Yeah, there's going to be some 1A Trico coaches watching this going, oh my gosh, how are we supposed to stop these guys, right? If they've got this element now where they're able to just kind of drop back and throw the ball all over the field, and we've seen, you know, multiple routes, right? We've seen them just, you know, on the go route. We've seen them with some inside throws. We've seen them with the bubble. We've seen them be able to throw it all over the field, and then you throw this in there, and you've got to go tackle this guy in the open field, and you're wondering how in the world you're ever going to stop this team.
Yeah, it's really tough. The Trappers had an extra guy on the field. There's a penalty, almost a broken play, and it just takes it, sets up his blocks, really, really well, and that's a big man running down the field with 3 or 4 blockers.
So here's a look at the replay. Lambert just with a whole lot of space. He doesn't even get touched until probably 25, 30 yards down the field.
And these kids are competing, right? They've been waiting for this for so long, right? And Lambert just, he's showing off what he's good at, isn't he?
Well, and we talked about the weight that he's put on, and now that he's 6 foot, 210 pounds, he wants colleges to see this tape of what he looks like running. And talking to Coach Lambert before the game, he said, he's running a 4.8 in the 40-yard dash, but he talked about his instincts and how his instincts make him, makes that 40 time faster because he just gets to the ball so quickly. He was more talking about defensively than offensively, but there's the completed pass. Gosh, and again, the coverage was really good. Imani, once again, that's his 3rd touchdown of the afternoon. And we look at the replay right here. Lambert, he knows where he's going. There's no doubt. He's looking right at him the whole time. Throws it up there.
There's coverage there. They've got a safety there. They've got a corner there. But he's just a little bit bigger, little bit better, and goes up there and makes the play. And they've run the ball up the middle on this a couple times. I kind of expect them to do the same thing.
Yeah, and it's 42-0 now.
And there's Jalen Ward trying to get in.
Looks like they're going to mark it short.
I don't think he got it. And again, something to feel good about, right?
Yeah, they're going to try's going to be failed there, so it's going to stay at 42-0. Just under a minute left here in the second quarter as we get ready for halftime. And this is one of those possessions where Fort Vancouver, I think, is really going to, I don't know that they're going to take a knee, but they certainly don't want to. I think in another game they might just take a knee. I think in this game they'll try to run a few plays. But
well, what you don't want to do in this situation is give the ball back to the center, right? So whatever you do has to be, especially with getting the ball back coming out of the half. But let's be honest, this is an opportunity to run a couple plays, maybe do something. They've got their 2-minute drill. Let's see if they're going to do it or be conservative.
And they had, the ball that was picked off in the end zone down here was their only turnover so far. They haven't been careless with the ball. I guess they did have the fumble as well, but they've done a pretty good job of taking care of the football and making sure that they, don't put their defense in bad spots. So we'll see if Coach Bilodeau trusts the offense to be able to run a play here, or if they play it really conservatively. Once again, though, you got single coverage down here on this side of the field.
You look at that play again, just a little running play, right?
It's one of those low risk, high reward potential. Like in
Right.
this situation, you might break it, but you'd feel like, the worst that can happen is he drops a ball out there. It's a 3-yard loss, no big deal. But
Right.
you might have something good come out of it.
You think about here, you question, why are the Trappers calling timeout here, right? The reason they're calling timeout is there's 21.9 seconds, and this gives them another opportunity to try to do something good. There's no quit in this team for sure, and that's good. That's good to see. So let's, Lecentre's over there working, saying, hey, knock the ball down, right? Knock the ball down, get the ball back. They're still trying to score, and you like to see that out of all these guys.
Yeah, Coach Bilodeau is going to use every opportunity he can to coach his kids up, and this timeout is a good opportunity to talk through some stuff. Coach Bilodeau has been around. He was on the staff the last 2 years under head coach Neil Lomax, and now he's to the point as the head coach where he's been around a lot.
A little bit of confusion going on here.
2nd and 9. Clock stopped, about 22 seconds left here in the first half. Good job of rolling out, but just nothing there for him.
You know, but he didn't make a mistake. You know,
Especially
he didn't,
in this situation.
He sure didn't. And you know, I expect him to get out on the outside, see everything that's going on, but you don't want him to throw in a pick, and he didn't do that. And that's maturity for a sophomore out here in a big time situation. Looks like we got a flag on the play.
They call unsportsmanlike on the
offense?
Yeah,
they called unsportsmanlike conduct.
Which is kind of surprising because after Lambert made that tackle, he stepped over Svikovic, which is not something that usually guys are able to get away with. It was a play that I didn't really like. Sometimes you're in a situation where there's no way to avoid that. In that situation, it looked like Lambert was kind of taunting him to me. But I don't know if somebody responded to that or what led to the unsportsmanlike. But it was clearly on Fort Vancouver, and it looks like LeCenter's going to decline the penalty.
You know, I kind of like that. You know, it's kind of in this situation, right? These kids are they're this first competition they've had in a really long time, right? And sometimes that gets the best of you. And you get in the moment, but it gives the coaches something to talk about, you know, probably especially on Monday. Say, hey, guys, we can't really do that kind of stuff. We got to worry about us, not about what everybody else is doing.
Because it's certainly not going to cost you this game.
Right.
But in games down the road, those types of penalties can be huge. So the penalty was declined. I don't know what they're writing down and what they're – I guess on the unsportsmanlike – I know at the college level, if you get 2, you get ejected.
Well, it's actually the same thing with this one. If you get 2, and you just got to say, hey, you know what, we can't do that right now, and it gives you an opportunity to, give kids a chance to grow up a little bit, you know, make a little bit of a mistake, but you can't do it twice.
Center's got all their DBs back towards the 50-yard line. They're going to keep everything in front of them here on 3rd and 9. This will more than likely be the last play of the half. Quick throw outside to Mendez. And the theme of the half there, a whole lot of center bodies out making a tackle. So that'll do it for the first half. Really impressive first half from LeCenter, on both sides of the ball. Some things for Fort Vancouver to obviously build off of and talk about at the half, but we're going to go into the half. LeCenter 42, Fort Vancouver 0. We're going to look at a few highlights, or I guess at least this last play from the half.
Yeah, you know, you look at that. You're not going to be able to throw the ball downfield, right? So what do? You put it in a playmaker's hand, and he's made plays today.
Absolutely.
And you give him an opportunity to work on something, a little opportunity to get better, and you get into the.
So we're going to see some of the highlights. Here was one of the only, I guess you could call it a mistake for LeCenter, but it ends up turning into a touchdown, a bad snap, and Lambert throws it. Nemani was, 3 touchdowns in the first half. They were successful running it to the outside. They did there on that 2-point play. And then when they ran inside, it wasn't as successful. Here was one of a couple big pass plays to Mendez down the field. And that's where Trappers got a couple of their big chunks of yards. This will be an interesting, looking at the second half. I don't know how much Lambert will play. Probably in the second half, he might play the first series. But if they're able to make him a little bit more uncomfortable, but that's part of the issue where you're looking at him and you're like, are we really going to blitz him and let him get out into, out into the open space? And then that left them kind of open on the outside. And when LeCenter broke a tackle, it was on to a touchdown.
Andrew Kaiser he just gets the ball and runs around everybody. That's 2 big blocks, right? And that's that dedication to doing the right things, understand what your jobs are by LeCenter and never quitting, right? Gets himself a touchdown there.
Yeah, we haven't seen, and luckily for Fort, a lot of that where they didn't need to use Lambert just on the direct snap, just going. But the couple times that he did, he made plays, and a couple of these broken plays ended up going for touchdowns. So La Center showed they were able to score in a lot of different ways. They were able to move the ball in a lot of different ways, and also, defensively we're good, except for maybe these couple passes deep to Mendes.
Mm-hmm. Well, he did. He made a couple good plays. He got that little slant right there that we saw. Took a couple shots, made a couple plays, get the slant going on. But then, unfortunately, we threw this up, and they learn from their mistakes. And that's coaching. That's coaching, helping those guys get in the right situation.
Yeah, Svikovich probably completed 10 or 11 balls there in the first half. We aren't keeping stats up here, but Lambert had, I think they ran for 1, threw for 4 or 5 there in the first half. So it's going to be one of the other differences with the COVID protocols. Neither team's going to go into the locker room, so both teams are still out here on the field for the halftime. And so we got about 12 minutes, and then we'll come back for the second half.
Hi everybody, time for a quick look inside Vancouver Public Schools. I'm Nick Vole. The Medical Arts Magnet Lab at Fort Vancouver High School will look a lot different when students return to classes. They've got a new medical table that will totally change the way students learn about the human body. The Medical Arts Lab at Fort Vancouver High School is full of opportunities for hands-on learning. Students can practice drawing blood, applying tape and bandages, and more. And now they can conduct a high-tech autopsy thanks to a brand new anatomage table. The table contains full-body scans of 4 bodies, 2 male, 2 female, donated by real people for medical research.
We can slice them all the way down into layers, to the cellular level, to the body system level. It's really mind-blowing. It is so much fun to play with, and we have not even yet begun to scratch the surface.
Teacher Colleen Dunnigan demonstrated the machine for us, showing how she can now isolate muscles, the skeleton, the nervous system, any part of the body. Students can rotate the body parts, seeing them in 3 dimensions and seeing how they interact with one another. They can simulate a heartbeat, seeing how higher and lower beats per minute affects blood flow. The table will soon be connected to big screen televisions, so virtual dissections can be viewed by all of the students in the class.
It's a really great tool that's not only just for the medical magnet, but for our anatomy, physiology, and our zoology classes that a lot of our students take because they want to be they're interested in healthcare or veterinary care.
The table came as part of a grant at no cost to the program and will be put into use as soon as in-person school resumes. The Medical Arts Magnet and the district's other magnet programs are all available for sign-ups after the holiday break, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled for those. In the meantime, you can keep up with the district on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Until next time, I'm Nick Vole. Hi everybody, time for a quick look inside Vancouver Public Schools. I'm Nick Vole. Students returning to the Welding and Fabrication Lab at Fort Vancouver High School will see a lot of changes when they return to class thanks to some dedicated staff. Fort Vancouver's Welding and Fabrication Lab is the only space of its kind in the district, and it looks a lot different than it did just a few years ago when Paul Minoski took over the program. His first priority was to modernize the shop and curriculum.
It took a lot of work with the kids. It took a lot of time.
They brought in professionals from industry to implement lean techniques, which improve efficiency and simulate real work environments. They added a partnership with Boeing to provide curriculum and possible pathways into manufacturing after graduation.
They have an understanding of how to work, all right, how to work with their hands and how to actually show up every day, and what a manufacturing shop's supposed to look like.
The new space features welding stations, of course.
We have a bunch of cool stuff to play with, and there's a bunch of stuff that you can learn. And on top of that, we get to do everything from cut steel, cut metal, make a lot of fire.
But it also has virtual welders, CNC machines, lathes, and more. Students can also earn math credit because of the complicated geometry used in plasma cutting.
You know, you've got your X, Y, and Z axis here for the height of the plasma cutter, and then moving it, in the different directions here before you would go and cut.
Teacher Eric Gunderson has helped with the improvements and has noticed a shift.
You know, when we were going through this transition and the doors open at night as we're in here still working, and you know, students walk by and say, hey, you know, can I come in and continue to work? Like, it's a place that they want to be. I feel like they have some pride and ownership in the transition, so it's fun to see.
He's excited about the doors the program can help open for students.
With, you know, malls shutting down and, you know, all those kind of entry-level, no skills necessary jobs kind of going away, with online stuff really taking over, you need a skill, you need something that you can do and contribute. So I think this is a great place to learn the skills necessary to be able to be trainable by an employer.
The welding and fabrication program at Fort and the district's other magnet programs are all available for signups after the holiday break, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. In the meantime, you can keep up with the district on social media at Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Until next time, I'm Nick Bull. Hey everybody, time for a Revitalizing Vancouver update. I'm Nick Vole. The bond measure that voters passed a couple of years ago has resulted in new school buildings, but it's also brought existing buildings additions. And even though the spaces may not be as big as a whole new school, the impact it has on kids is huge. From the outside, Eisenhower Elementary looks the same as it has for a long time.
When you drive up to Eisenhower, I would have never known that it's, you know, an addition to the building. It's completely seamless.
But if you look closer, you'll see 2 new classrooms on the south side of the building, the result of an in-depth planning process involving staff and students.
It was a wonderful experience. I would love to do it again. I think that, you know, that deep caring about meeting your community's needs was really felt and honored through the process.
The new rooms have large windows to bring in light.
I think it always impacts students' learning, their level of engagement, and their ability really to kind of focus and concentrate.
The new class spaces also solve 2 major problems for Eisenhower. For the first time, classes are able to be clustered based on grade level.
That's really nice, because if you're a teacher that's in a completely different wing just because of availability, that really changes the dynamic and communication of the team.
Before, due to overcrowding, classes spilled out into shared co-op spaces like this, which offer no outside light and brought distractions to learning.
To actually have classrooms for all of our staff and students, it's pretty wonderful. So now we just need our kids back.
Staff at Eisenhower is keenly aware that the updates are only possible thanks to our community, and when it's possible again, they would love for you to see the improvements for yourself on a Visit Vancouver school tour.
We are so grateful, and it's I think the best way you could see it is to come and visit our schools, and our gratitude is huge, and our staff's gratitude as well. So thank you.
And you can always keep track of the bond-related work happening across the district on our website, vansd.org/reschools. Until next time, I'm Nick Bull. Hi everybody, time for a quick look inside Vancouver Public Schools. I'm Nick Vole. Construction of a new wing here at Columbia River High School is coming along nicely. When it's finished, students and staff will have a new place to teach and learn, and that has them thinking about the future. But thanks to an accident right here, they're also now thinking about a heartwarming piece of their past. The call came into Clark County Fire District 6 just after midnight one night in October. A water main had broken at Columbia River High School, where construction crews were working to build a new wing. 1,600 gallons a minute came roaring out until firefighters managed to close the valves. The next day, Clark Public Utilities came out to fix the pipe and inspect a new fire hydrant. That's when Clark PUD Inspector David Nybert made a discovery.
I saw this glass bottle. I thought it was a beer bottle at first, laying here in you know, some dirt and mud, and I picked it up and realized it was a little bit more than just an old beer bottle.
He cleaned the bottle and looked inside.
There's a little scroll in here with a story and names of students from 1963.
Back in '63, River was just a brand new high school, still establishing its identity. A group of 8th graders planted a gum tree and the bottle on the western edge of campus. Years later, the gum tree died and a wall went up, concealing the bottle until now, when the flood washed it from its hiding place.
But this is quite a find. This is unbelievable.
For Principal Alex Odepal, the timing of this discovery couldn't be better.
It's a great opportunity for our students to really be connected, for our community to be connected to where this school has been on this journey and as we evolve into the future, because this remodel is pretty remarkable.
At an impromptu ceremony, David from the PUD, Construction Project Superintendent Dan Kopp, and Bonnie Womack, a River staff member, joined Principal Odepal to read the scroll inside the bottle. Bonnie is also a River graduate. Her sister was in the class of '67, whose students planted the tree and buried the bottle 4 years earlier.
This liquid dambar, or sweet gum tree, was planted by Advisory 207 of Columbia River High School in the year of our Lord, 1963. The undersigned have helped pick out the tree, raise money through a candy sale, and set it in the earth.
The scroll is being framed and will be given a place of honor when the new wing is completed. It's a fitting tribute to the students who helped build Columbia River into the school it is today, a way to connect the past with the present and the future.
We stand on the shoulders of giants here at River.
Construction is still a couple of months away from completion, but you can keep track of all of the different construction projects going on around the district on the district website. It's vansd.org/reschools. You can see a timeline of past, future, and current projects, and also see what's happening in your neighborhood. Until next time, I'm Nick Voll. Hi everybody, time for a Revitalizing Vancouver update, a look at construction projects across Vancouver Public Schools. I'm Nick Voll. The bond measure passed by voters a few years ago resulted in new school buildings at some sites, but not every school got a new building. Some just got really helpful additions, like here at Philida Elementary School.
It is vivid and alive, and it breathes new life into our building.
Principal Chris Giannotti at Philida Elementary School is giddy over the new wing at her school and what it will mean for students.
We're thinking flexibly about the needs of kids. That's first and foremost.
The wing on the west side of the building includes 5 new classrooms and a center common area to relieve overcrowding and consolidate students.
Adding this new wing allowed us to put all of our grade levels together in one space, so all of our teachers can collaborate, and when they do team teaching, students can go from room to room, or teachers can share students in a very confined space.
4th graders will occupy this wing with its wooden ceilings and bright, airy classrooms.
Hopefully they can return sometime before the end of the year, even if it's for a celebration, to be the first kids in history, the first 4th graders in history to see these new spaces that were made for them.
Another feature of the remodel, one that benefits the whole school, is the new art room with its large inward-facing windows.
Yeah, it's really a source of pride to walk by and see these new spaces that are so bright. The architects and the planners thought about bringing in light from all directions, and so the sense of airiness and brightness, I think, is helpful for our students, not only in art, but also in the classroom spaces.
In our chat, Principal Giannotti asked to address the voters of Vancouver who made this new wing possible.
Thank you, community. We could not be more thrilled for your generosity in making this space a finishing space for us, a beautiful space for kids to learn, a great place for teachers to be able to collaborate, and a place that we can continue to take pride in every day. Thank you.
You can get a complete picture of the construction projects around Vancouver Public Schools on our website, vansd.org/reschools. See a timeline of past, current, and future projects and see what's happening in your neighborhood. You can also follow the district on social media on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Until next time, I'm Nick Voll.
All right, welcome back. We're getting ready for the second half of action here from Gary Boggs Field at Kiggins Bowl. We got about 2.5 minutes. Both teams stayed on the field for COVID protocol for the halftime, and are just getting their last couple minutes of warm-ups in before we start the second half. Coach, let's start with Fort Vancouver coming out for the second half. What if you're Coach Bilodeau, what are you saying at halftime? What do you kind of try and focus on for the second half?
Well, you got to tell these guys, let's keep doing what we're doing, right? They found a little bit of success, reading the defense, making sure, seeing what they're doing, and let that dictate what you're doing as an offense. And defensively, I'd like to see them make a few adjustments, right? They're clearly throwing the ball downfield. They've been very committed to that. So maybe get those DBs back, and if they throw it underneath, you're right. They just need to rally and make tackles. And Le Center, how about just keep doing what they're doing, right? I expect them to probably keep running the same few plays. Defensively, they're given some man coverage, given some different looks. They're clearly working on things, and I expect more of the same.
Yeah, we got about 1.5 minutes. What about for Le Center? What are you thinking? You mentioned they've kept it pretty basic offensively.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't needed to do much to get to the 42 points, but if there's anything for them to either adjust or focus on in the second half, what are you thinking that would be?
Well, I would say because it's Le Center, they should get to the run game, right? And but when you look at a team, you look at what they're doing, what they're trying to accomplish. They weren't always successful on those pass plays, right? And saw a lot of balls thrown over receivers, some drop balls. Weirdly, I expect them to do the same thing. I expect them to still continue to throw the ball down the field, and work on those things again. Things that they're gonna need later on in the year that they don't really need today.
Yeah, they talked about how many freshmen they have and how many young players that they have. So you would assume that they're going to hope that this is the opportunity to get some of those guys out there. But at the same time, you don't want to put kids in a position where they can't be successful regardless of, where the score is at. You want to make sure these kids are ready to be out there and in the positions that they're in. So it's going to be a tough balance for them of trying to be respectful in the way that the game is on the scoreboard. But also, they got to take care of their kids. They got to, make the decisions that they feel like are best for both teams. So,
interestingly, is looking at, Lambert. How long do you leave Lambert in there, right? Does you keep running him out there, risk of injury, but he's trying to get better too. The backup quarterback for Le Center right now is Garrett Manu, and he's just a freshman, right? And but I expect him maybe get a little bit of work in here. It's a tough situation.
Yeah, you don't have to put him in a situation where he's sitting back there in the pocket and getting. You can snap him the ball and have him hand it off,
right,
and get his reps that way.
Right.
But at 5'6", 140 pounds, even though Le Center's clearly the better football team tonight, Fort's got some guys that are big and strong and physical, and you don't want to put him in a position where he could potentially get hurt either.
You sure don't. And we talked about that in the first half. Safety has to be the number one thing. But for both teams. Again, I keep saying it, they're looking for opportunities to get better.
All right, so Fort Vancouver, if you're just joining us, we'll start with a ball at the 30-yard line. No special teams in this afternoon's game, no kicks of any kind. So Fort Vancouver will just start with the ball 1st and 10 on their own 30-yard line. And they're going to take a shot right out of the gate. But once again, like you said, sometimes the underthrown ball can be the best.
It does. The receiver comes back, and here we go again. Trying to get the ball out to the edge, to the single receiver side, get Mendez the ball, and we have a penalty, right?
Yeah, we're going to get a look at the replay right here. Svikovic throws the ball up. And it's just a really tough play for the DB. You see it at the highest of levels where guys aren't able to get their heads turned around and make pass interferences all the time. So for Normine out there to be a freshman, and he's had some ups and downs so far in this game. He certainly held his own in his first time out there by all accounts. But in that situation was not able to get flipped around soon enough, and that's going to be a big play right out of the gate for Fort. So Fort's clearly not going to, just sit around and wait for a running clock. I mean, they're going to go try and score a touchdown and do what they can to build momentum.
Well, that's what they should do, right? They have this in their RPO offense, run a pass on one side or, throw it up to the other. Let the defense tell you. But that was a tough call on Tyler Normie right there. Pretty good defense, just can't put your hands on the receiver.
So 1st and 10 now from Fort on their own 45-yard line. They're going to throw it again. Svikvich rolls out and is able to throw that ball up, and he's trying to throw it away. Didn't quite get out of bounds, but makes the right play of making sure not to take a sack.
He doesn't want to take a sack, but you don't want to throw it up to the defense. You want to get that ball out of bounds. You know it's not there. Throw it out of bounds. Or maybe just keep running with it, right?
And looking at the replay, I would have liked to see him just stay in the pocket just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I feel like, he had a little bit of time and he kind of bailed out of there a little bit early. And obviously that's some growing pains of your first high school start and being out there as a sophomore. And he's had, a lot of bright spots today, but that's one of those times where I would have liked to see him just stand in there just a little bit longer.
Credit LaCenter's defense right there. They obviously talked about covering up those receivers. And they've made their own adjustments.
2nd and 10 now. Fort Vancouver once again trips on the wide side. Svikvich to pass. Oh, they had an opportunity there. The ball's just thrown just a little bit low. I think Lufau was probably the most space he's seen so far, and I think he's wishing he had an opportunity to make something of that, because there was definitely some room out there for him.
You'd like Savikovic to look down the field first before he looked over to his running back. And, we've seen it a couple times. You got to look off your receiver, right, and allow the defense to react to you so that you can get him the ball and get him the ball in space instead of just looking at him. But that's going to be growth. There's going to be growth by the sophomore. He's going to get better.
All right, so 3rd and 10 now. Center's going to bring a little bit of a blitz and some pressure. Oh, and a miscommunication on the route. The ball's going to be picked off. And in a game with no punts on that 3rd down, that almost kind of plays a little bit like a punt. You throw the ball down the field and you gain 25 yards on it or whatever, but when they get the couple first downs early, and the field position is actually not going to be that bad for him now.
Well, Tyler Normie had certainly learned from what happened in the first half, and we see the ball get thrown up, and he's back deep. Lets the ball come to him. The Trappers, the coaches need to get in there and talk to him and say, hey, you know what? Don't look right at your receiver. Start thinking about, let the defense tell you where to throw. Don't just decide before. I think he's deciding a little bit. But they're going to talk. I can see him talking to him right now about that. So we'll see how that adjustment works out.
So LaCenter takes over now. 1st and 10 on their own 34. 7.5 minutes here in the 3rd quarter. A little trouble with the snap there from Lambert. Looks up, and there's that jump pass again. Just flips that ball out there. And again, for Fort Vancouver, it's just got to be backbreaking. You feel like you've got something there. It's difficult play. It's broken down, and somehow he finds a way to flip that ball out there.
It looks like he must have stepped out of bounds before he let it go. Let's see what
they're definitely not moving the chains. We just missed the replay. But, yeah, they've got him back now. Yeah, starting back where they were at the 34. So he must have stepped out.
I think it's 2nd down right now. There we go.
Yep, 2nd and 10. Oh, they were right in the right position.
Some excitement there by the defense, right? And, that shows that guys are being competitive. The linebacker gets his read, gets his drop, gets back, has the ball thrown right there, and just missed it, right? But I like the excitement, right? 42-0. Forget the score. Get out there and play football. This is an opportunity.
Okay, so now they're going to put him at 3rd and long. Center throws the ball out quick. And once again, just the quick game. And well blocked, and Lecenter's going to take it for a first down.
And we've seen that over and over and over. Just throw the ball out, get it to your playmaker, break one tackle, and now you've got blockers, right? And every football team wants to do that. It's a simple run play. It just gets it out there, and even though you're throwing it, and you'll see it right here, it's just, yep, you get it out there, that's my guy. Break one tackle, right, and all of a sudden now you got a first down.
And you could actually see a couple of the Lecenter receivers' faces. They were looking up, and they couldn't even find anybody to block. He was looking around like, I know I'm supposed to be blocking somebody right here, but there is literally nobody out here for me to block. But then Fort comes back right there and does a nice job of stopping a very similar play.
Same play the other way. Ball didn't kind of come out quite as quick. And the Trappers were there. They should feel good about that, right? And that's Mendez again, making plays now on defense, just like he had on offense.
This third quarter is flying by already. Just under 5 minutes now. And once again, pretty good defense from Fort. They actually hit Lambert, I think probably for the first time in the pocket. They were actually able to get to him, and he just missed his receiver. And so nice job defensively there for Fort. Got some pressure, and they're going to bring up 3rd and 12.
Again, we have an opportunity here, 3rd and 12. And we've seen the bubble out of this several times in this situation. And, just get the guy out there and let him go. There we go again, same exact thing.
In the middle of the field is just wide open.
Little screen, get the ball to your playmaker. Touchdown.
That's a sophomore, number 8, Davari Grauer, wide receiver. That's his first touchdown of the night.
And credit Lecenter. They're getting some of their other guys in now, and getting some guys that haven't had so much of an opportunity. And coaching's coaching, though. You put guys in great situations, and they did right here. Little screen pass, you get a little block there, and
he was not touched.
No, he sure wasn't. Shows a little athleticism.
So Lecenter now again forced to go for 2, no special teams. They'll run it up the middle.
This is a tough part of the game for really both teams right now. Is you want to keep playing, you want to keep working on stuff, right? But it's it's a mismatch situation right now, and the Trappers need to take a deep breath, one thing at a time. Find some success doing something. Find a reason to feel good about what you're doing. And, on the other side, Lecenter, this is an opportunity now for them to get some new guys in, get an opportunity for them to get a look, right, and let them get better. And you know what? You don't want to get any of your starters hurt. So we'll see what the Trappers do right here. I'd like to see them keep doing the same things. Look at the different options, right? And Coach Bill needs to keep these guys working, keep them feeling good about things. Don't worry about the score.
We should be at running clock at this point.
We are,
now.
yeah.
So, but that'll start at the snap.
As soon as the snaps start, it'll continue to run until there's a score.
So this is a rule that was adopted, I feel like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, maybe, where once the score got to 45-point lead, then the clock will run for the remainder of the game. There will be no stoppages for anything other than, is it an injury? Is that the only time they'll stop?
An injury or after a score.
Okay.
After a score, they stop it until it plays in. So after they snap the ball, it'll continue to run.
A lot of time for Svikvich. The DB fell down.
And we've seen Lambert try to do this. Lambert runs around and keeps things going and is jump passing and doing everything. Keep going. Use your athleticism. Trust it, right? Take what they're giving you.
That was Tavon Vance out there on that play. Was almost in a position to make a play. Vance is just a sophomore. Bilodeau was very complimentary of their wide receiver group. I mean, we've talked a lot about Mendez, but he likes Tavon Vance. He really likes Jaquan Collins, who's another good-looking athlete, senior, who he said made a play earlier in a scrimmage where Svikovich was trying to throw a ball out of bounds, and Collins jumped up and caught it one-handed. So he likes their receivers, and it's just going to be a matter of being able to block for everybody, right? I mean, it's just whether you're the running backs or the receivers. The quick game is not. I mean, you look at these two teams, and they're both trying to do similar things, but Le Center has executed it better. Now, this was a pretty good play, and you see Lufau with a stiff arm. I mean, and that's not a backup, right? That Lufau just did that to. That's Humphrey, who's had a really good game. That Lufau just kind of pops him with a stiff arm and gets a few extra yards, but you just haven't been able to see Lufau get going just because there's just not been a lot of space for him to do that.
There hasn't, and we've seen some plays, but we need to see the run game really open up to get some of these linebackers to get some better drops to be able to do something.
And there's a good decision from Svikovich.
Yeah, and I like that. You're a quarterback, and the old adage that you don't want to get the quarterback hurt. How about you get out there and be an athlete? And I like that, and that's going to give him more. Every hit he takes, become more and more confident. And you see it right here. He just decides to go. Right, he commits to that.
And that wasn't a panic run.
No, it sure wasn't.
That was I've looked. I don't have the read that I want, and now I'm going to.
I'm going to commit to that. I'm going to commit to finding something positive. And he found some success. That he's going to grow as a quarterback from that play right there. So we got a timeout right now. The Trapper's going to talk about things, sort out what's going on. They're going to move the ball, right? Because we're in a punt situation again with these special rules that we've got today, and Le Center's going to take over. I like to see the Trap, understand what Le Center's trying to do. They're not trying to run the ball, right? And you get to this score and you think, oh, wow, geez, why aren't you running the ball? No, it's really not that way because Le Center's going to find success running the ball right now. So them throwing the ball down the field, that's not them trying to run the score up, right? And I think that's important to point out that they're doing something they're not really good at. That's not what they do, and they're committed to it, and I expect them to continue to do the same thing. And the Trappers got to see that. That these little short throws and stuff. We need to react to that and rally to the ball, and try to find ways to take that away. And we're seeing it here. They're still in that 2-by-2 formation. And this one, they've pretty much always thrown the ball deep or run the ball in the middle. And here we go.
Yeah, and I think, again, that's probably one of the plays that Le Center's had the least amount of success with so far tonight is trying to run up the middle. And even that play then now goes for 10 yards and a first down. That'll probably be the last play of the third quarter as the clock continues to run. Le Center's going to sub some guys on.
They sure are.
Look at that play.
And you'll see Jalen Ward gets out there, right? And Jalen, he's a freshman, right? And this is a freshman getting out there and, getting some work in and finding success behind that big old offensive line, well-coached offensive line, understands what they're doing. Against a Trapper defense that's, got a new defensive coordinator, sorting things out. The kids love him. When I talk to the kids, they talk about him as they just love the guy. Coach Bilodeau was telling me a story about the kids in when they found out that he was going to be the defensive coordinator. They all stood up, gave him a standing ovation, and clapped for him because they love the guy. Now they just got to figure out his philosophy, put that into action, right? And this is step one. Step one of what might be a couple-year process. But that's how you get better. And so we're starting to see some of that stuff happen right now.
Yeah, you're talking about Coach Griff, the defensive coordinator. He's a big University of Georgia fan, so they like to, he's a Kirby Smart follower, likes to run that 3-4 defense. So Bilodeau said he's really hands-off on the defense. He really trusts Coach Griff to do that. Bilodeau's a former offensive lineman, and he's kind of more the run game coordinator, and then Coach Callaway is the pass game coordinator. But you're right. He was very complimentary of Coach Griff. Said he does a really nice job with the fundamentals and the basics. And so that was one thing in talking to Coach Bilodeau about this game is how much he appreciates his coaching staff. And they're guys that he trusts. They're guys that he believes in. And one of my favorite quotes is a Lou Holtz quote where Lou Holtz was saying that the best thing that a head coach can do is hire good coaches and let them coach.
Right.
And I absolutely love that. I think it's perfect, and it's a philosophy in my own coaching that I've tried to implement, is going out and hiring people that I believe in and trust, and let them do their thing, and not try to be a micromanager, because you're just going to burn yourself out. And I think he's done a nice job of bringing in some quality coaches and some people that are, like you talked about, build relationships with kids and are about the right things, and it's going to pay off for him in the long run for sure.
It sure will, and I love what you said again about relationships, and these kids have to like each other, the coaches have to like each other, and that's really tough when it's 50-0, right? But you got to look past that, right? And find something to be really positive about, right? And I'll tell you what, there's some competition going on there. That was probably one of the most fun plays I've seen to watch, right? We saw a little pressure. We haven't seen too much pressure put on by the Trappers, and they decided to bring somebody off the edge. And, that's exciting, and it just shows that everybody's competing still.
And that was Normine with his first carry. We've seen him play well defensively as we get a look at the replay here. Normine was a kid, when I looked down to find out who it was, and I saw freshman next to his name, I was surprised, because that's not a freshman body. I mean, that's a good looking freshman body at 5'11", and you see, like I said, you've seen what he can do in the defensive backfield, and then makes a nice carry right there. So Center does have the backup quarterback in.
And again, this is what the center does really well, is just run the ball. Understand your blocking assignments, understand what you're supposed to do, and you find success, right? And they're really good at that. And credit to LaCenter bringing in a freshman, getting him an opportunity. You never know when you might need that freshman to get back in there, and this is going to provide fruit later in the year.
Yeah, that's Joseph Kula, 9th grader, running back, linebacker, 5'8", 135 on that play. It looked like he knew what he was doing.
Sure did.
I mean, he was not confused about where he should be going on that play. Lufau jumped out.
It's interesting. The center's got an all-freshman backfield right now with Joseph Kalua and Jalen Ward back there. But they're fast, right? They look electric, and you love to have that as freshmen in your program, to watch somebody behind Lambert who's going to, provide a great example of how to be a great quarterback.
Yeah, and that's what was probably my favorite part about talking to Coach Lambert about their team and about the dynamic of coaching his son. And when I was asking him about it, he said he wasn't talking about his offers. He wasn't talking about MVP. He said the things that he was most proud about and the things that stood out to him was his work ethic, his accountability in practice, and his job in the weight room. And so what a good example for those younger players to follow.
Speaking of younger players, number Austin Nixon, another freshman, gets his first carry and scores on it, right? And Owen, I think about what you said, and it makes me remember coaching my son, right? And I got to do that for 4 years and be around him, and what a great experience that is for a coach, right? And it's a special relationship, and success or no success isn't the important thing. It's that relationship that you get to have with your son, and go through that process. What an amazing opportunity that is.
Well, and I played for my own dad, and that's what kind of led me into to asking Coach Lambert about coaching his son. And it's never easy to be the coach's kid, because you're always going to be scrutinized, and it's never easy to be the coach with your kid on your team, because people are going to always say, why is he playing, or is it favoritism? And but luckily for for Coach Lambert, his son is the MVP of the league, and there's really nobody can question why his son is the quarterback, clearly based on what we've seen today. But that's another touchdown for the center. The 2-point conversion will put it up to 58. now for the Wildcats. And like you said, the clock will stop here as we change possessions, and then it'll run. So this last 9 minutes is going to probably go by pretty quickly.
You know, if the Trappers gotta look at this as an opportunity. What an amazing, you take everything that's going on today, and if they can somehow find a reason, and I'm looking at the guys coming out. I'm seeing some younger guys on defense right now. If the Trappers can get something going and put some points on the board, that's going to be a big thing. But I'll tell you what, LaCenter doesn't want that to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. For Fort Vancouver, this is the most difficult game on their schedule.
Right.
When you look at, there's some good teams in the Trico, and Castle Rock's a really good team, and they gave LaCenter a run for their money last year. But Fort Vancouver will not play a better team than LaCenter the rest of the way. So the schedule is only going to get easier for them. It's only going to, they're only going to be able to perform better in their coming games. And so you'd much rather have this game right out of the gate, kind of measure where you're at. It makes it really easy to make sure guys know, hey, we've got a long ways to go, but there's going to be plenty of opportunities to succeed going forward with their schedule in the 1A Trico, without a doubt.
Well, it will, and that's going to start. That's going to start in the film room, right? And I know the coaches are going to get in there. They're going to be watching film all night tonight, sorting out what they can do. And the film they're looking at is the best they're going to see. And in that particular case, you look at it and say, hey, if we can get better about this, what were we good at? What did we do well? What can we be better at, right? You don't want to focus on what we didn't do well. It's what can we be better at, right? And they're going to do that. Give that to the kids. Let the kids watch some film, and then get ready for next week.
When we talk about safety and we talk about Fort trying to build this program, one of the most difficult things or the thing that makes football the most difficult in trying to build a program is when you're getting beat on the scoreboard and you're also getting beat up physically.
Right.
And this move to the Trico, again, as good as some of these Trico teams are, they're not near as big and physical as when you're playing in the 3A GSHL.
Right.
There's a couple kids at 200 pounds plus. There's maybe one kid listed at 300. And so Fort they've been beaten, they've been out-executed, but they haven't been physically beaten to the point where these kids are going to get demoralized. And that's why when you look at what the WIA has done in the last several years in trying to bring equity to high school sports and allowing Fort Vancouver not only to become an independent, but then allowing with the free and reduced lunch rates to become a 2A school, and then to be able to opt down a level into football and play at the 1A level. It's just what's best for kids. And at the end of the day, isn't that what this is supposed to be about? Isn't it supposed to be about what's best for kids?
It really is about the kids. And I feel like in this district there's a commitment. There's a commitment to bettering what we're doing, and especially at Fort, in my experience, taking over the baseball program, there's a commitment to what we're trying to do. There's a commitment to getting kids out there. There's a commitment to keeping kids in Fort boundaries coming to Fort, right? And it's a process. It's one step at a time, and you can't get stuck in the scoreboard. You find little successes, right? And find ways to feel good about what you're doing, and find ways to give these guys a great experience. And I can tell you that the district is committed to Fort Vancouver and really all the schools to making that happen.
We're going to motion in. A little room there on the outside, but did a nice job of stringing that out on that 2nd and 10 run. It's going to bring up 3rd and long now for Fort Vancouver. Clock still running, about 6 minutes left here in the 4th quarter. The center 58 now on the scoreboard. We'll get a look at that replay. And again, just not a lot of space.
Well, I liked what they were doing when they came out. They decided they're going to get out there, and there's a little bit of confusion going on, right? Maybe some adjustments that are being made here.
Yeah, one thing that I liked there from Svikvich is you could tell he knew where guys were supposed to be.
He sure did, didn't
he? He was motioning, hey, you got to come through, you got to come over here, you got to move to that side. And
that's a growth of a leader, isn't it? Right there,
Absolutely.
he's learning that process and directing traffic out there, and that comes from that confidence, right? And we saw him in the last drive when something wasn't there, and he committed to running. He's going to have more of those opportunities to just decide and command and be confident with what he's doing, right? Even against a La Center, right? A team that's well coached, knows what they're doing, very disciplined. He's found some success. He's gonna use that next week. It's gonna make him better.
All right, so it's going to be 3rd and 10 now for Fort Vancouver. Ball on their own 45-yard line. Clock's going to start running here with about 5.5 minutes to go in the game. The center giving a lot of cushion to the wide receivers, but we still got
an opportunity right here. Oh. You look at all the plays that we've had today, and that was one of the best thrown balls. But here's the thing, Mendez, drops the ball. We all make mistakes, right? But then Caleb is asking his guy to come back, and look, he's going to have his back right here. I'm watching him right now. He just slapped him on the helmet. Told him, hey, man, it's okay. You'll get the next one, right? He knows he dropped it, and he's got his back. It's all right. I got you. We'll get you another one, right? Seeing the birth of a leader right here.
So 4th and 10 now. Trappers nothing to lose. They're going to go right back. That actually ends up working better for Fort Vancouver. That ball was picked off.
Sure did. But I like what he did right there. He said, you know what? You dropped one. I'm going to give you another one. Right? If you don't catch it, they're going to catch it. But we can feel good about it, right?
And it's clear that they've got some chemistry, and Mendez has been the best playmaker on the outside. But you definitely got to feel like teams now are going to be expecting that combination. They're going to have to develop some other receivers, and Caleb's going to have to realize that there's going to have to be some other guys that are going to get some targets, especially, looking at those throws down the field have all been Mendez's way. Mm-hmm. But that's something that they're going to continue to develop going forward. All right, it's going to be the center ball now on their own 21, 1st and 10, under 4 minutes now. You'd sure like Fort Vancouver to see them keep this from getting to 60. Center's got a lot of young guys in there now. Quarterback's going to keep it. He's got some space. Breaks a tackle.
Yeah, that was a broken play right there. He missed the mesh, right, and the ball came a little bit out. We've got freshmen on the field right now, and you'll see right here, he tries to get the ball there. They don't know what's going on. It's just run, right? and guess who they learned that from? Lambert gets out there and is doing jump passes and things. He's being creative, right? He's competing. That play might not work, but you keep after it. You keep 100%, and you find success. And, La Center's having that right now.
Yeah, when you're a really good football team, it just seems like even the bad plays turn into good plays. Fort's going to bring a lot of pressure here. Get in the backfield.
What's interesting right now is we've got a lot of the younger players in, and Coach Lambert's kind of went more towards his offense, right? What he does with his young players. What you're seeing right now is more of what La Center likes to do. You'll see some misdirection, and the linemen getting downfield, getting onto linebackers, but for the Trappers get in there, right? They're still competing, right? That's a loss. Their success there.
He's going to get about 3 there on 2nd and 12.
I know there's only 2 minutes left, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing by both teams right now. La Center's getting out there. They're working on stuff. The Trappers are trying to make plays. Coaches are still calling. I'm seeing both of the coaches calling things in, being aggressive. Everybody's still competing right now in a game like it's exciting to me as a coach.
3rd and 7, minute 30 left here in the ball game. We're going to have a stoppage of play. No signal yet on what's going on. Might be another one of those equipment issues, or did Le Center have 12 men on the field right there?
Yeah. I think there was an extra guy. Maybe they're calling it. I'm not sure.
Well, it looks like we're back to it.
Yeah, probably the hardest hitting, couple play. It's right there, a play that I've seen by the Trapper defense, and the Le Center's being physical. 4th and 1 might be the last play of the game right here, and I'm excited for it. Right, want to see what's going to happen. Trapper should probably bring a whole bunch of people. Very likely it's going to be a run, yeah, try to win this play.
Be interesting to see who they
get
that on. You got to think that that's on the defense, but yeah.
And he knew, right? But I still like that, right?
Well, that's a position where you might as well sell out anyway, right?
You might
the
as
clock's
well.
going to run out, so
You might as well, because that's contagious. Probably the clock runs out right here, I would think. Maybe they run one more play, but
yeah, we don't see a play clock on the scoreboard. That's kept down on the field by the officials, so we don't know if where the play clock is.
Well, Owen, I appreciate doing this with you. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, Coach, absolutely. All right, that's going to do it. That'll be the last play of the game. The horn's going to sound. So the final score is going to be Le Center Wildcats 58, Fort Vancouver Trappers 0. It's a tough start to the Doug Bilodeau era for Fort Vancouver, but like we've talked about, the schedule definitely opens up. You've got to give a lot of credit to Le Center. There's a reason this team is where they are. Coach Lambert's a phenomenal coach. They've got some really good players. It's a great program. With the no special teams and all the things that went into this game today, it was a lopsided score, but it certainly wasn't an ugly game. I mean, there was a couple turnovers, and there weren't a ton of penalties. There weren't a ton of snap issues and things like that. So a lot of things for both teams to build on, and certainly some areas where they're going to want to improve. But we talked about two programs in two different positions, but for both of them, we wish success going forward.
Yeah, and I'm watching these guys on the field. We're seeing a couple big plays by Le Center here. They've just got a different group of kids than the Trappers have. But they competed right here, right? And Nico's out there. He's working hard, right? He's doing the things that he needs to do. I see he's working hard on offense, on defense. And that's going to be contagious to other kids, right? And as the program goes, and you see it right here. I just love that he's in there trying to make a play. Maybe it doesn't work out, but there's some good football going on right there.
We do want to let everybody know that there is another broadcast coming up tonight at 7 o'clock. We've got Ridgefield and Hudson's Bay, a football game right here from Kiggins Bowl. So please come back and check out those young men as well as they kick off their season. It was a different dynamic. You couldn't hear the fans. No screaming on the touchdowns, and we've got the cheerleaders and we heard the band. But certainly a quiet afternoon here from Gary Boggs Field in Kiggins Bowl.
But at least we get to play some football.
But at least we're here. We're in masks. We can tell that we sound a little muffled and not as clear as normal, but we appreciate being able to be here and bring this broadcast to everybody. We wish both teams a successful season. We want to thank you for tuning in today. Come back at 7 o'clock for our 7 o'clock game. I'm Owen Frazier on behalf of my broadcast partner, Brian Hansen. Thanks again. Have a good afternoon. Have a good weekend, everybody. Go Trappers.